Is there a massive bull run incoming? Well, have you ever played dominoes? Not the real way you play it, but where you line up the dominoes and then you watch them amazingly fall over in sequence, right? The real way to play dominoes. Now, I believe things are being set up for a massive rally, like dominoes falling one after another. What are these dominoes? Well, that is what we're going to talk about today. We will look at some news as well. I also know many of you in the audience have brilliant minds. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on what dominoes you see setting up for a bull market. A few of you might disagree, and that's cool. Wait till you hear the evidence, and then we would love to hear your views as well in the comments. We also have a special guest joining us today called Psilo. They're an NFT project just launching soon with a top artist who will also be joining us. NFTs are starting to heat up again as Bored Ape Yacht Club is bringing NFTs back into the front of everyone's minds. Welcome to the Crypto Rain channel. I'm your host, Jay Rain. Now, if you like money and crypto and you're looking for a real investor's take on the crypto market, join the Rainmaker family. You can do that as simply as liking this video and subscribing with the all notifications bell enabled. Do note, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a crypto investor myself, sharing with you how I think about the crypto market and specific cryptos I like. I do own or plan to own most of what I talk about on this channel because I don't talk about cryptos I don't believe in. Special thanks to our Patreon members. We do have a private Discord that our Patreon members get access to. There is a link below to Patreon if it's of interest to you. Also, at the beginning, it often says that this is sponsored content. Well, that is because of our strategic relationship with OneChain, who gives us 500 won every month to give away to the audience. We also have a strategic relationship with Psilo, who's joining us today. Also, their project lead and I are both very early investors in Devio. He is also an advisor for them. So we've known each other actually quite a long time. Now make it rain on that like button and strap in for the show. Let's welcome our producer, D-Money.
Hey, what up, Jay? How's it going today, man?
Oh, man, I'm excited to deliver some of these truth bombs about what is going on in the crypto market.
Yeah, for sure.
Up to.
No, it really is. I mean, there's been so much positive news, and it's one of those things where I think the market is just waiting a minute to catch up with everything that's happened. But yeah, you're totally right. We were talking with the guys from Psilo. I'm excited to share everything with the audience, or to have them share their project with the audience as well. There's some really cool stuff, as well as our buddy Decentralized Sancho. He says, "Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let's start another positive week." I love that. I love that about the community. And about you, Jay. I mean, you help keep us, feeling positive about everything, even when things are a little bit, shaky and that sort of a thing. I've heard some people describe this show as like their daily therapy session, and so
yeah, we're going to address the emotions behind it a little bit today.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, let's go ahead. Let's get the party started. You want to?
Let's do it.
All right.
Join me, Rainmakers. So, really, the last 3 months have been absolutely brutal emotionally to us. Some of us probably remember it vividly, and some of us, like abuse victims, our minds are blocking out much of it, and it feels like a hazy, uncomfortable cloud. Well, the good news is the market continues to show us signs that amazing things are coming, amazing things that can bring lots of new money into the space, which is really what brings the massive, massive bull cycles. And I can't wait to get into that. We have the project lead for Psilo and also their lead artist joining us for a bit to share with us their NFT project they will be launching soon. I love the quality on these, and you might already know of the work of this artist because he's been involved in some top things already, and we'll talk about that. Now, these early stages, even prior to mint, are high potential risk with high potential reward if the project blows up. I do think another NFT run will be coming in the months ahead, and so the timing is good for us to take a look at Psilo together. Welcome, gentlemen. There we go. Solv and Gurmukh, thank you so much for joining us. Solv, your mic is muted for some reason. There we go.
It's for safety.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, totally. Thanks so much for having us today. This is awesome.
Now, the audience, many of them won't have heard of Silo. Could you tell us what Silo is and the vision behind the project?
Yeah, totally. So Silo is a three-dimensional avatar project. Wanted to give like very intense storyline to some avatars that you can use in various metaverse platforms and in one of our metaverse platforms, play to earn games. And we are more bullish on what's happening with like Unreal Engine 5 and some of the really high polygon count, high quality sort of avatars in the space. So that's what we wanted to deliver. And then also with a real storyline behind each character, something akin to like Star Wars or some major sci-fi sort of story for the era of NFTs.
It's funny the evolution of like NFTs, right? Like CryptoPunks and then Bored Apes Yacht Club really kind of define this. Hey, there's a use case for these as a profile pic and as a status symbol, but a lot of them were just 2D art, right? And it's fair. Is it fair to say that it's going towards 3D art? And so Silo, and we have some artwork that everyone we can all see together. Is like a 2D that you could use as an NFT pick, but also delivering all the 3D art behind it.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what we're seeing, right? Is we're seeing all the two-dimensional big collections. People are building, or like those teams are building three-dimensional avatar versions of them, including Bored Ape Yacht Club. And then I was on a call earlier with some V1 punks. If people know about the V1 crypto punks and like what that's going to look like with three-dimensional crypto punks now that Yuga Labs owns the IP there, and
Mhm.
if the V1 punks will also have that capability and such. And so, yeah, there's everybody is really thinking about three-dimensional avatars in this metaverse era.
Yeah. Now, I love the artwork behind it and the detail behind it, which is why I invited you on. Could you tell the audience a little bit about the three different species? And then I'd love it if you could share some of the artwork so they could see what I was impressed by.
Yeah, totally. So we really needed to create enough characters um, to really deliver a solid storyline, right? But also, I've been seeing like more and more people tweet about and talk about like factions in the NFT space, which I think is really interesting, where you don't just have one single character that is duplicated 10,000 times and different variations of traits and such, but actually individual characters within those collections and what that means, and then individual like communities or cliques or different groups inside of these single larger communities where they really get to express themselves a little bit further, which one they more align with, right? So within our story, it's called Silo. Silo is the name of the planet. It used to be called Earth, so this is a millennia from now. And what who lives on it now is droids, and they are the evolution of humankind. So we can kind of like look around us and see the effects of global warming, and really start to question like, well, humans always reign supreme on Earth. So our story is basically the answer to that is no, but the things that we build, so AI and droids, inherit the earth far into the future. And then we have another character, the Tavali, which is like the hero of the story. They're what happens if the felines from earth a long time ago evolved into a more human-like creature, and those are the creatures that we find out created the pyramids and all this sort of stuff, but have been living on a different planet for a long time. And then there's the evil villain, the galactic gangsters of the multiverse that kind of rule everything, which the Tavali meet when they leave the planet initially, called the Gilamon. And they're named after like the Southwest United States has a Gila monster, that people might be familiar with. So each one ties back to something that's actually happening in the real world, and they all have a bunch of analogous things pointing at like the differences between Web 2 and Web 3.
Yeah, fantastic. Any chance we could show the audience some of the artwork that you shared with me like a week ago of some, especially some of the feline and the yes, this stuff
Oh,
because they haven't seen this.
yeah.
So they see the quality and depth. There we go. That's exactly what I wanted them to see.
Yeah. So these are a few of the finals of our characters that I've created so far. the first one you saw there is our Helamon. The way we have our collection broken up is we have 3 characters, so that definitely helps create a solid bit of variation within the collection itself. But then on top of that, each character, the Helamon and the Tavali, have 4 different ranks or classes within that breakup of their amount of images in the overall collection. And then the droids have 5 classes, and so each class has a level of rarity and then also like a level to the story and what they're involved with. So the Helamon that you see here, this is our lowest rank, the Helamon infantry. These droids here, this is our highest rank, called the 16th prime. And then we also have these are more lower rank. These are our general intelligence droids here. And then these are super intelligence droids. So that you can see that there's different levels of rank within the system, but then as well, like that also relates to their rarity. And then these are our highest level Helamon, the Helamon counselors. And then one more, we got to get to the Tavali. Yeah, and then here's a couple different examples of our Tavali in our collection as well.
Yeah, they look incredible.
Awesome.
So, can you tell us about the project roadmap?
Yeah, sure. I'll take that one. So, initially we're developing these 3-dimensional characters. We started with a 3-dimensional character, and then we're creating artwork, to really solidify them into what will initially be a PFP, right? And then each PFP owner or NFT owner will have access to like the fully rigged 3-dimensional version of these characters, and will be able to use them in our recently announced metaverse partner, which is Network, which probably people on your show are familiar with, because I know you are familiar with them. And so, we partnered with Network. Will be, able to be used in their play-to-earn games. If you want a really incredible, example of that, Angry Ape Army, which is another large collection, where the artist actually knows Gurmukh as well, our artist. And so we're pretty close with that team, or a few people on that team. And if you look at like a recent video of Angry Ape Army and Network and what's possible in their Battle Royale game, you'll have an understanding of kind of the direction we're headed there. We also have, we're nerds in the crypto space, truly. We really appreciate token wrapping, and we appreciate, being participants in the DeFi ecosystem and building Lego blocks in that system, if you will. And so, we really want to add utility to this initial collection by offering token wrapping, right? So if you're familiar with what the Doodles are doing, Doodles is really exciting. We love what they're doing over there with token utility, and being able to wrap the NFT into different environments that you've seen recently with Space Doodles. So similar situation, we plan on offering plenty of utility in the future for these with token wrapping without diluting the initial collection, right? That isn't to say we won't have more drops and more sales in the future for additional things that you can do with these characters. Or heavy equipment, which is on our roadmap, which basically is vehicles for these creatures, but also being able to wrap them into the various scenarios. Those are just hints of the roadmap. If you want to really dive into it, I encourage you to go to Psilo, that's Psilo.com, and check out the roadmap. While you're there, hover over each one of the team members to dox them. We start with a PFP, and then it flips over into the actual person behind it, because we're massive, like 20-person almost doxed team with a bunch of experienced professionals that really plan on delivering a lot of value.
Yeah, awesome. Now, what is the process you've been going through in creating these characters and going into each of these? Because when I was looking through, I was like, the level of detail on these is amazing. And Solv and I have known each other for going on a year now. In fact, Solv is the one that got me into Meebits. He reached out to me. He's like, hey, have you seen what's going on with Larva Labs and Meebits? I was like, no. And he's like, check this out. And so that was a home run. I sold off. I bought 7. I sold off 2 that covered my entire cost. And then I've just been taking profits on them the way up. Thank you for that, Solv, by the way.
Yeah. I can share my screen a bit and just
Yeah.
show a little bit of the process on what goes behind this. So I'm a 3D concept designer. I'm actually trained as an architect with my bachelor's and master's in architecture, and then switched to entertainment design around 2013. I previously worked as a spaceship designer on Star Citizen, which I'm sure a bunch of
You
you
were
may.
talking about that before. I love that. I have Star Citizen. I have a bunch of concept ships, including some that apparently you developed.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I did the design for the Vanguard, for the Carrack, the Constellation Phoenix, the Archimedes. So I had my hand on a bunch of ships over there as a concept designer. And so the process is fairly the same here. I'm a 3D concept designer, so I don't really do too much sketching or drawing by hand. I do a lot of work in 3D softwares that help me to bring these ideas to life. What you're seeing here is one of the files that's where I kind of start the droid or start some of the design work. You can see I have some rocket launchers, some different types of props. There's a lot of curves in here. So the way that this type of software works is pretty simple. You just let's see. You just draw a curve, you extrude it, your shape. You can round out corners. You can slice that up. And so I kind of have an idea in my head and I start bringing it to life. It's definitely a lot of time and effort, and it almost like kind of develops itself into the idea that it needs to create. And this software here is called Moment of Inspiration. It's a NURBS 3D modeling software, which is used mostly for engineering, 3D printing, creating products, stuff like that. After I'm done with this part of the project, I go into a software called Maya. And this is where I kind of start to bring everything back together. So I add some kind of temporary materials here. I make sure that any nuts, bolts, screws, anything that may be missing from that moment of inspiration or that CAD model that I create comes in here. And then there's also other parts in here that I make that are more like soft looking or smooth or need to be like controlled curve type of surfaces. I'll do a lot of that stuff in here. A lot of the wires and stuff like that in here as well. After that, I send this model over to a program called Keyshot. And Keyshot is where everything kind of starts to come together as far as materials go, lighting, setting up the final camera. And so you can see everything in here is designed and created in 3D. The stuff that you're not going to see in the original PFP or this kind of locked angle, I haven't fully figured out yet. So for example, the hands and the legs and the feet aren't figured out at this point. But 90 or 80% of the character is there. It's designed. The 3D model of it is created. And
yeah,
so
I like that you have the other parts will be completely done, so they can get a fully fleshed out model.
Right. Absolutely, yeah. For now, it's as far as like the Star Citizen world goes, I created concepts for those ships, and then those ships were sold as ways to make money for the game, and then people who bought those ships later on down the line, you had to wait a bit to get them. But the idea is that it starts from a 3D concept, which kind of speeds up the timeline in the process. So for now, you're getting this. It's a really high polygon count model, and in order for this to be eventually used as a 3D avatar in a metaverse platform, it'll need to be rebuilt as a lower poly count. It'll need to be textured and rigged and animated and special effects put on there and all that stuff. And so that's yet to come down the line in our timeline.
We're talking about that because, there are definitely different stages to development. So you're getting them ready so that there can be a snapshot to create all the profile pics for your minting event, which really begs the question, what is the longer term thoughts on utility for these beyond profile pics? So you're obviously designing like 3D stuff behind it, including legs and arms that aren't shown. In your mind, what's the utility for these beyond a profile pic then?
Yeah, there's a few different ways to look at it. I think, first off, like building that community with the PFP, right? But then the utility that should be already obvious is, the integration to metaverse platforms and the integration to augmented reality platforms. So being able to use these characters, your character, and even wrapping it into different utility situations within those platforms itself, like using our backend, wrapping the token through a smart contract, and then having this new NFT issued that you're now using on that same platform is really exciting, because you're able to switch things out, even in gameplay, for as long as it takes for the contract to operate. So, or, as quickly as it takes the contract to operate. So, that sort of utility is already exciting, right? And so just keep expanding on that, thinking technically, there's plenty of utility you can continue to deliver in that space with that in mind. And then what we're actually doing in the background is also creating an incredibly in-depth storyline. We really did approach this, and I've heard other communities talk about, like, is this the next Star Wars or whatever for their community? So I don't mean this to be like a cliche thing to say, but truly, we're building out these characters with really in-depth storylines that are interwoven together and really get a point across. And that point is that we're trying to showcase what's possible in this space, and we're trying to create a new sci-fi franchise from NFTs. And then we're also trying to do something which I think it's time to do in society today, which is present psilocybin in a more positive light. So the name of the planet, Psilo, comes from the word psilocybin. There is a psilocybin network within the planet, and that is how, like, these characters expand their consciousness or enter the metaverse, right? For the purposes of our story. So in that sense, we're really trying. We're also donating some of our proceeds to MAPS, the Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies. Down the road, we're also going to be donating to another psychedelic therapy group that we'll let the community decide on, actually. But we're really trying to push that whole narrative and make sure people know that there are a lot of studies going on that present alternatives to hardcore pharmaceuticals, which I think is kind of plaguing society today. And it directly affects me and my family, as my 13-year-old, when she was only 11 and in fifth grade, hurt herself, cut herself, decided she was going to try and commit suicide. And ever since then has been, in serious therapy with severe depression and anxiety, and on pharmaceuticals. And I'm not saying that, this is the answer for 13-year-olds at this point, but it could be something that we discover is much more healthier and better for society. And so we definitely have a serious mission. We have a serious story we're developing with a very serious team. And as you can see, incredibly high level detailed artwork.
Yeah, that's nice that you're giving to a cause that I believe in too. Having been through, I had some people that I love have serious mental illness issues. That's a passion of mine, as well as Western medicine overprescribes pharmaceuticals for sure. And it's almost built into it, right? The doctors look to the pharmaceutical companies directly. And my guess is there's natural things that have those effects. And finally, it seems like in science, they're finally exploring that more. Now, back to the investment side of this, what is the total supply of the project, as well as total mint numbers for the different species?
Yeah, total. So the total supply of the initial Genesis Silo collection, which includes the 3 different species, is 8,888.
Okay.
We kind of broke those down into rarity. So you can imagine, like, AI droids probably can build themselves pretty efficiently, right? They're a non-organic creature. Therefore, there are 4,444 droids in the collection, right? And then the Helamon have been the galactic overlords for a long time, and they've been reigning supreme with their larger army of 3,333. And the Tavali, the hero of the story, is certainly the underdog, or the undercat in this case, and they are coming out to showcase, what is possible, enter the metaverse, and escape Helamon control. So there's a total of 1,111 of them.
That's awesome. Now, we love giveaways with their what's going on with them. They have a lot of interest and attention. We weren't able to get some giveaways for the audience. We were able to give away some mint, some whitelist spots for those that are interested in these. Now, as you know, on the higher like desired NFT projects, getting even on the whitelist, it can be pretty hard. So how many spots were you able to reserve for our audience?
So we have a forum, and I think that, we're very happy to do like the first 30 people that fill out that form from your audience, and like just do a simple thing like retweet our pinned tweet. There's a form there showing you what you would need to do. Very simple, but yeah, 30 people.
So D, were you able to put that in below? I wasn't able to check in the notes. I got it.
Yeah,
I got
no,
it
it should be there now, like right in the
Okay.
description. So yeah, if they just go, look at the description. I mean, they actually might have to refresh, refresh the
I was supposed
video.
to get that to D. I had a note to get it to D before the show, and I forgot. We were talking with the audience about his involvement in Star Citizen, which is a game I've been waiting for it to be developed in about 10 years now. It feels like 10 years.
I
But
just dropped the new link in case the old link has permissions that weren't allowed, but just dropped the new link in. I think D Money saw that too, so he jumped.
Yeah, well, the one that I had was working, so I
great.
think that we should be good to go on it. Yeah.
Very cool. Awesome.
perfect. Any questions from the audience, real quick? We've got about 3 minutes time before we have to roll over to the other thing. Anyone in the audience have any questions for the team before we go over to the next segment?
Our buddy Chris Ashby asked, he asked, will these have any utility outside of the game/story? I feel like you covered that pretty well.
What he might be looking for, so the answer is yes. The game and story, the story and what is possible in the future with you can imagine an animated series, you can imagine like different metaverse play sort of stuff. So as Crypto Rain mentioned, I am an advisor to Devio. We've been working on some pretty incredible utility with their chain. So maybe we'll bridge over to their chain and utilize certain things like using this in kind of a Pokemon Go sort of scenario where you're able to go to different businesses and like claim rewards and things like that. So, and then outside of that, of course, there's also us looking into the future, the ability to stake this as some sort of initial stake offering for something we may deliver in the future.
Yeah, looking forward to the project. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us today and just sharing with the audience what's going on. And we thank you for the whitelist spot, so some of our audience that's interested can get involved. Hopefully the link is working. If not, let me know in the audience. And let's move on to really why I'm so bullish. Now, I know the general... Yeah, thank you, gentlemen. I know the general sentiment has been bearish. It is mostly because of a recency bias we as human beings have. Now, I'm going to share with you some thoughts on the dominoes that are stacking up. But before we get into that, if you didn't catch the video with Paul from last Thursday, you might want to take a look at that after this stream. As we were looking at different altcoins suggested by the different viewers, Paul was seeing some bottoming signals. And that's interesting because Paul's background is price analysis. He doesn't spend all this time in crypto that we do. And what was interesting is that means he also isn't affected by sentiment related to anything. He strictly just looks at price, doesn't have any emotional involvement. And as he was looking at it, he's like, wow, in this altcoin, I'm seeing a bottoming signal. In this altcoin, I'm seeing a bottoming signal. Now, as you know, I'm a swing trader. I buy low, hold for the right periods, which could be 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, even a couple of years, and I sell high. These past 3 months, you could look at them as terrible, or you could look at them as a gift of being able to accumulate when things are cheap. Now, domino number one, big banks and big investment companies were flooding on Bitcoin and crypto just last year. Now they're starting to disclose their involvement in the space and specifically the investments that they have made. Look at the story about JP Morgan creating their own digital coin for payments. Here we go. Let me share my screen. Interesting. JP Morgan, who I remember like 2 years ago was like, oh, if any of our people are invested in crypto, they'll get fired and stuff. And while they were saying that, they must have been already working on this and developing this. So what a lot of these companies do is they keep private all their investments because they like to buy cheap. But then later, all this news comes out on things that they've been developing for years, and we're starting to see the news come out. Look at this. Goldman Sachs and Galaxy Digital announced milestone on their over-the-counter crypto trade. Now, Galaxy Digital is run by Mike Novogratz, who I've talked about several times. I try to tune in any interviews I see with him, even though I don't always agree with him, but he is absolutely brilliant. And essentially, he's a huge investor in the North American space. I think he's out of California, or at least a lot of his investments are out of California. And he moved into the crypto space early and has been a brilliant mind and crypto evangelist for the last 4 years. Interesting. Working with Goldman Sachs that they did this. He also has a lot of connections to the Biden administration, which I think has been helpful in the U.S. All right. What else is going on? The Bored Ape Yacht Club, their cooperation with Ashton Kutcher and a huge celebrity manager with their ApeCoin. Now, we covered this on Friday. Now, this is all being set up now, and because we're in the crypto space, we know about it. But the hype machine hasn't even been turned on yet. Of course, we know about it. We're total crypto nerds. Like, we pay attention to this stuff. We're making early investment choices, right? Because we want to be in way before the masses. So we know about this event. But is it fair to say the major, average everyday person who isn't paying attention to crypto has no idea yet about it? So this is what the building blocks that those of us who are paying attention see before the building comes together and everyone's like, oh my gosh, that building is amazing, right? Or the dominoes are all being set up, and then we see these dominoes start to fall piece by piece into the public consciousness, and boom, you get a massive crypto boom. Now, check out this. We covered this event, right? Or specifically ApeCoin coming out that's being built by Bored Ape Yacht Club, who just bought the rights to CryptoPunks and Meebits. And they have some big ambitions in this space. But look at this. ETH Whales bought 6.6 million worth of their new ApeCoin that's coming out. Now, I'm bullish on their ApeCoin, though I'm waiting to buy some myself. ApeCoin one of the things I like about it is Ape might take on some meme coin properties at a certain point. And I'm hoping due to their tokenomics that there's some fall off and cooling before I take a position. Because I believe ApeCoin and Omi, one of our viewers always jumps in and says, Omi will melt faces. I still strongly agree with that. But ApeCoin and Omi might be two fundamental coins that take on meme coin status and pump massively in this run. Now, they aren't actually meme coins. They do actually have fundamentals, but that doesn't mean they can't come into the public consciousness like meme coins did and pump tremendously. In fact, I think those two have the best position to possibly do that. All right, domino number 3, NFL and UFC collectibles also come to crypto, like the NBA did through NBA Top Shots. Also, many football clubs, or as in North America, they say soccer, and even cricket. Yeah, cricket, like played in India. All of these are coming into the crypto space. Now, these will be gateways for many new users starting their crypto and NFT experiences. So if you think about it, as these go bigger and more viral, this will be a first crypto purchase by a lot of people that then make them aware of the general crypto space, and that's how their money then starts pouring into the space. Domino number 4, Bitcoin's true value. If the stock to flow model is correct, and let me pull that up for you. Here we go. Here is one. Now, interestingly enough, this version of it ended here, and this person that made it, the reason why I like to use this chart is they actually only had data through here, and they made some projections, and their projections haven't been too far off, and they have this pump coming later. But if you look at the fundamental behind this, this is Bitcoin's estimated true value. And so here we are in March, where the true value is likely around 95, depending on where this is, should be right around 100,000. Where the true value is. So essentially, if the stock to flow model is correct, Bitcoin is currently underpriced by a 60% discount. Now, when it goes to its full value, it will shock so many people who have been sitting on the sidelines waiting to get in. They just kind of haven't. And then all of a sudden they see it at 100,000. It grabs their attention and then they pile in. Domino number 5, the Crypto Rain Show. Just kidding. Domino number 5, politicians will have to start catering to what their voters want, which is what crypto, like we saw that just recently in the South Korea elections, right? And now the new leader of South Korea, after winning, is reshaping all the stupid regulations there in South Korea to be more crypto friendly. I think we're going to see that across many more countries, especially as newer and newer elections happen. Some of the 80-year-olds get voted out of their electoral positions in favor of somebody who's maybe 35 to 45 that understands where crypto is going to help pass very limited crypto regulation, because regulation is helpful, but especially if it's limited and not hugely burdensome, like South Korea went. And now that is being pulled back by somebody new who ran on that platform. In fact, both of them ran on that platform. Just one, and it just shows you the direction it's going. We're going to see that in more and more countries. Domino number 6, Bitcoin and crypto actually being used as a store of value and a means of exchange in both Ukraine and Russia. And we covered that in the past week as well. And you're just seeing how all these dominoes are coming together. Domino number 7, El Salvador's adoption of Bitcoin as a legal tender. And did you know Tonga and Honduras? Let me share some articles with you. Honduras reported to officially recognize Bitcoin as legal tender in the coming days. It'll be interesting. So this just came out earlier today. That would be another addition. And I think you'll see more and more countries go. Tonga is also looking to adopt it, just like El Salvador did. Crazy, huh? We couldn't have even imagined this. Well, we did imagine this 4 years ago, but it's actually coming into fruition. Now, domino number 8, let me share this story with you. Africa. Look at this article about Africa and crypto growth. Crypto users in Africa grew by essentially, 25x in 2021. That is amazing. Yeah, that's really exciting, the amount of growth there. 25x, that's tremendous. Do you realize how big that is if that kind of momentum continues in Africa? And we're not even done with our dominoes yet. Domino number 9, Bitcoin and ETH are leaving exchanges. There we go. Ethereum outflows from exchanges hit 2022 peak as ETH price surges. So leaving exchanges is a good thing. That means people putting them in longer term storage, not to leave them on the exchange to trade. That means they're expecting prices will go up soon. If enough people are expecting prices will go up soon and they're not willing to sell at the current prices, that does drive it up, because you run out of sellers at the current prices and you still have plenty of buyers. And then all of a sudden the price starts going crazy. Domino number 10. Look at this story. This was really, really interesting. Now, the U.S. Treasury is run by Janet Yellen, and has not been exactly crypto friendly, but look at this U.S. Treasury official. We don't see that crypto could be used in large scale way to evade sanctions. Well, that's a big statement. That almost seems like a reversal from what was said a month or two ago. They might have figured out that they're touching a political hot button, and that the citizens who vote like, don't touch our crypto. And all of a sudden we see a change of direction. We don't see the crypto, because crypto is not used in a large way. Like Bitcoin, some early people, criminals that tried to use it, once they got discovered, it was able to track down every single transaction they made. And so it almost, when you have this public distributed ledger, it almost is like keeping their books available for anyone to see. And they found out that Bitcoin was a terrible way to try to commit crime, because that leaves so many traces. All right. Domino number 11. Crypto Rain believes it. Now, my mind is a hugely analytical thing. It takes in tons of data, mostly subconsciously processing it, and then says, ding, yep, this is going to happen. Now, am I always right? Often, but not always. The words I use are almost always. Now, I hope none of you are here to be mindless followers, but to be informed, thinking, learning audience members, where I am sharing my lessons learned so that hopefully each of you has better results in your first 5 years than I did in mine, though mine changed my life for forever. Now, with this channel, I'm trying to create the channel that I wish I had had when I was new to this space. I want interviews, I want fundamental analysis, technical analysis, important news updates, so that I could piece them all together and then decide what I thought about them and also decide where I want to look further. Now, I've made this case to you before in the audience if you've been here for a while, but check out this chart of Bitcoin again with me. There we go. So are we setting up for another leg of the bull run? I strongly believe we are. So look, we hit our previous highs here at 20K right in December 2017. We were hopeful for a December pump. It would have been so much more convenient timing, but December pump was not in the bags. It basically came back and retraced here. Now, a lot of people are saying, or have been saying, they're starting to change their tune. We'll see that, oh yeah, we're in for another crypto winter. There's going to be 2 years of this, et cetera, et cetera. But look at this lower, this higher low here, as well as what really makes me believe strongly we're in for another run is the previous high was 20K. This top hit about 69K. It might have wicked up higher than that, but the general trend, let's say 69K was the top so far. Are we really to believe that from this top to this top is only 3.45x from the previous cycle? As I said here, no effing way. I believe that until like it happens. Now, of course, there could be some major world events that change everything, but without like a massive world event, I think this was just prepping, throwing some people off so they can go for it, getting them to turn very, very bearish before it can run massively higher. I'm really excited for how that comes together. Now, love some of your viewer thoughts. I'm going to check over the chat. Thank you for joining us. I haven't spent a lot of time with you in chat. Let's see. Oh, good. We have a link there. Yeah, in the chat too. Hopefully that link works. It might have disabled it as a link, but it should be in the description. If not, it'll be in there right after the video, or you can refresh it. Randy Crypto Savage says, Omi is getting trashed today. I just picked up some more. Yes, we like to buy when it's cheap. Silo, wishing you the best of luck for your future project. Nick Scott says to Silo. JP Morgan was in on ETH from near the beginning. I know, they're so disingenuous, though. Have you ever noticed these big ones, like they kind of FUD on it while they're buying? Publicly, they're like, oh, yeah, we can endorse that, while they're secretly making all these moves. And then they're like, oh, yeah, we recommend people buy. Yeah. Jamie Dimon always mentioned Bitcoin specifically, says Zach Hessler. Yeah, true, he did. So that he would face less regulatory stuff if he was fudding on like crypto in general. But he specifically did talk about Bitcoin, making it seem like they weren't bullish on the crypto space at all. So it's kind of a way that they could dance around the regulations. That at least is my take on it. Nick Scott says this channel melts my face. Thank you. We appreciate it. Will the small GameFi alts get back to all-time highs? That is a great question. Is it fair to say that possibly some won't, but I believe most of them will, and possibly very exceed them? Do you think it's risky to invest in ApeCoin right now? Absolutely risky. I like to buy on pullbacks, right? And so it's been going through some price discovery. That's why I don't own anything. If I had been able to get in at the ICO or whatever, sure, yes, I would have bought it. And if I had been sitting in my computer right when it launched, I probably would have bought some then, and then probably taken some profits out so I could have a risk-free position. Right now, I'm not buying any yet. There's so many projects I know that are on huge discounts that I like. And even though I'm bullish on ApeCoin, I like to buy when it's boring. It is not boring right now, right? So I have none yet. People forget about it and everything, then I'm going to be interested. Abe says, I'm patiently waiting and accumulating spores. Omi, Soland, vamos, crypto. Yeah, that's another way of saying LFG. Okay, what do I think about? I don't know anything about Paraswap, Samir. My buckets are out waiting for it to rain. Yes, good analogy. Mine too. I'm heavily invested in this space, and the things I talk about are things I invest in. I'm just an investor myself with a YouTube channel sharing with you my thoughts. Crypto's been life-changing for me over the past 4 years. And like I said before, my hope with this channel is if I do a good job kind of helping you learn some of my lessons, that so there wasn't a crypto channel at the time that, there were some that were pretty good. What I try to create with this is the channel that I wish I had, because I'm on the analytical side of the spectrum. I like fundamentals. I like to know why a project. I did go to business school. I like to know who the team is behind it. I like to know what their vision is, and that's what I invest in: the people and their vision. And I try to invest when it's cheap, right? So whether it's on a big pullback or on NFTs, I'll often buy at the mint event. Though sometimes, like Meebits, I got crushed investing at the mint event. I paid 2.4 for 5 Meebits, and when I saw the mints pull back all the way to close to an ETH, I bought 2 more. They did go all the way to 0.6 ETH, and now they're presently trading at 10x that at 6 ETH. And did they go to? No, they haven't gone to 9 yet. But they did have a pump earlier where I was able to sell 2 of mine, one for 7 ETH and one for 11 ETH, and got my entire investment back out. So I like to buy NFT projects usually at the mint event, though sometimes in the short term you might get a little bit wrecked. But if you investigate the team and what's going on behind it and you like it, then it takes off. If you remember Bored Apes Yacht Club, when that came out, actually they had a hard time selling it at first. And it wasn't until some ETH whales and some people with big YouTube channels jumped behind him. And then one person who's really popular in the crypto space bought a ton of them and then threw their weight behind it, that it really took off. And now it's become the behemoth that it is. Such a behemoth that it bought CryptoPunks and Meebits. 3 Doritos later too. You guys are doing an amazing job. Thank you for that. We appreciate it. I don't know how to say that. Fetten. That's what we hugely appreciate, as opposed to the DGen channels out there. Thank you. Hey, we appreciate all the compliments. Thoughts on Solbank? I'm still hoping that it comes together. A lot of you are newer to this space, and I know they haven't been posting a lot on Telegram. In fact, there are a number of projects, and they seem like they're dead. Now, when I'm investing in you never hope for projects that you're investing in seeming like they're dead, but you would be amazed how much comes to life when the rains come back. And a lot of it might be that they're kind of running through their funds that they have. They've developed a lot, and they hold a bunch of tokens that they're waiting, usually some ecosystem tokens, that they're waiting to sell to further fund things. But I remember when I was new in 2017, and the crypto run of then was, I came in when Bitcoin was about 6,000. It did run all the way up to 20,000. And right when I came in, a lot of the altcoins hadn't really taken off yet. And so I did get to experience some of that run and what it looks like, as well as some experiences during the bear market. And these projects sometimes seem like they're dead. And then as life comes back and everything, and the rains come, that they take off and they have some amazing price increases. You might be surprised to know this, but at one point it looked like Axie Infinity might, like there was a lot of case you could make that Axie Infinity wasn't going to make it, and that my $4,000 investment in Axie Infinity was going to go to zero. Now, specifically for me, it went to about 400,000. If I had kept it longer and sold the top, it would have been about 5 million. And that was a project that looked like, man, I don't know if it's going to make it through this crypto winter. And the prices, I bought kind of at the mint event, essentially the land chest for Axie Infinity, which, the prices dropped down to at least 50% off, if not like 70% off on those, on the land pieces and other things as it came out, and it struggled for a while. and then it went huge. Yeah, Three Doritos Later is asking everyone to remember, if you could help us make it rain on that like button, it helps us out. It helps spread the word. Now, we're not trying to be the biggest crypto channel, but that doesn't mean we don't want growth, because with growth, it does help us get some of the top projects on. It helps us actually get better giveaways to give to you. So every time you hit that like button, you're helping us grow so that we can give back by getting better and better giveaways to you. And these Mintlist spots are pretty cool if you're able to get one. They are really hard on these projects. I do expect good things. I've known Sol for a while, and probably you'll see some great things from this project. But like anything, it's a risk to reward setup that you're looking for. And I want to have their artists come on and share with you the art, because that way you can make an informed decision on whether you like it or not. All right. Let's see what else we got on. Appreciate C Rain's content. Like the video. Thank you. Yeah, that is a lot of what I wanted to share with you. I want your thoughts on, do you think it's setting up for a big bull run still coming, or are you like siding with the bears, that this is just like hopium and that we're going to crash from here? I'm curious to see what your thoughts and your analysis tell you. Let me check out a few comments that I've missed as well. What did you think of that article with the U.S. Treasury, right?
Yeah, it's surprising for sure. It's like, here, let's bring it up again.
Seems not like necessarily Yellen hasn't been our friend, and so it's just shocking to see this out of a Treasury official.
Right, for sure. Yeah. And it's, I don't know. It's, yeah, you can definitely see, I mean, as in the case of South Korea, where, you're talking about people, the new president, is that, I don't know if it's the leader. I don't know if it's a president over there, but
president, prime minister, or what position it is, the leader.
Yeah, but where you're seeing people like this that are starting to, they're starting to realize, hey, we're going to be screwed if we end up doing what we're talking about doing. And so, yeah, I mean, just everything that you laid out, Jay, for me, like the dominoes are there, and that's what's been frustrating to see. And I think I've even mentioned this at the beginning of the show, but like, it really does feel to me like like there have been so many positive things that have happened even in these first 3 months of the year, all this bullish news, and we're just kind of waiting for that first domino to fall. I really like the analogy of the dominoes being set up and then, and all all starting to tumble down, because I really think that it is just going to take kind of one thing, and then they're all going to start falling.
Yeah, what's fun about this, like a lot of the massive growth happens very quickly, right? And so a lot of people that are new to the space, they don't understand investment yet, though they want to. They just need some background in it, which in this channel we're trying to explain to people. And some of our audience has fantastic backgrounds in business. This is not new to them. And some people, this is new, which is why we try to break it down in an easy to understand way. But a lot of things you see, like all these foundational things, building and putting together, while the Chicken Littles are running around saying the sky is falling. Those who do their research look and say, I can see all these foundations going on. Now, it's a little bit hard to tell when the dominoes will all kick off and start falling, but when they do, they fall one right after the other, and it creates this huge parabolic run that all of a sudden you get massive new money flowing in, because that's really what drives the craziness. And you see a lot of these altcoins 20 or 30 or 50x is that all of a sudden they become aware of it, and they're like, oh crap. And then they're like, oh yeah, so my savings account that has 50,000 over here, I'm going to go all in on crypto. Now, fortunately, if they find this channel, they might realize that their timing is bad, especially if it's late in the game, and maybe just don't throw that all in at the top or near the top, because we don't know where the top is. But when the Chicken Littles are running around saying the sky is falling, it's terrible, that's when we say that crypto is boring. And we like to buy when price action is boring, especially when we get reassurances that the foundational things are being put into place. which just comes from some fundamental analysis in observing not just stories, but the correlation of them and how together these things all of a sudden, like when the ApeCoin, right? So the general public doesn't understand what ApeCoin is yet. They don't know what they might have heard what Bored Ape Yacht Club is, but a lot of this work you're seeing, like Ashton Kutcher get involved with that, and this huge producer that's produced all these major bands and artists. And so imagine when they start doing advertising and everything, it starts hitting public awareness. And then they're like, oh, Bored Apes went from, a couple $100 to a couple 100,000. And then they start FOMOing into the crypto space. They then learn about not just NFTs, but other things, as well as Bitcoin, say at the same time, hits previous all-time highs, hits 70,000, then breaks above it. And then it hits 100,000, and they're just like, oh my gosh, how have I missed out on this technology? And they FOMO in, unfortunately for them, like lemmings running off a cliff. And that's what brings in these crazy all-time highs. And then a savage pullback as they then get scared and they sell at lows, and the cycle repeats, right? So sure, we'll be able to help some people understand the cycles and be able to take a more logical, analytical view of it and less emotional, but it's still going to happen whether we inform people about it or not. So this is just a chance for us to profit by behavior that's in a cycle that just keeps happening. And by helping you kind of see what I see about the cycles, or at least what I've experienced from the past, I've just been in crypto for 4 years. It does help that I had 20 years business investing experience prior. Yeah, I think it's going to lead to some fun results for all of us. Cool. So, so that I leave enough time for the song, because I often don't. I want to make sure I leave enough time for the song. So I'm going to take look at one or two more comments. J24, are you still bullish on Bumper? Yes, I'm still very bullish on Bumper. Guys, it's calm before the rainstorm. Like it. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. If you haven't already, join us by subscribing, hitting that all notifications bell. I know that this contrarian approach, coupled with fundamental analysis, add in a lot of patience. It worked very, very well over time and created life-changing results for me and some people that I know over longer periods of time. If you haven't already, consider that all notifications bell. Remember, we do a live stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 11 a.m. Pacific time. And now we also do a VV live stream Wednesday evenings at 7:30 p.m. Pacific. And then we have shorter videos that we launch sometimes throughout the week. Thank you so much. Remember, no rain, no gain.
Came into the space chasing all of the gains, chasing the pumps and all of the hype trains. But like in life, shit, right before you could, was told to buy when it was pouring like a rainmaker should. I buy when it's down, don't chase the boats that I miss, cause I always make the time in mind. I stick the one out cause I'm patient like that, and I'll wait for the right time. I sell when it's high, I buy when it's low. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm just a rainmaker running the show. Calculated investments, I don't lead with my heart. The principles are simple, they're leaving a mark. Why when it's boring, just gotta be smart. I sell when it's hype, like all the channels they pump it. That's when I was selling a parabolic and dump it. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm a rainmaker, making my own start. I'm with the future, learning the past. Makes the time fly by, years going so fast. The game plan is mine, I'll own it now. When I reach the top, haters asking me how. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love, and I follow what I learn, not relying on luck. Time is never better, the time like the present. The next 5 years is a gift and it's feeling like heaven. I'm committed to learn, studying to know that nothing comes easy, but with knowledge the game show. Sticking out this road could soon become a bear market. Learning and growing, and when it's slow will be the target. They say it's come out, Bitcoin is dead. The massive decreases can get to your head. Sticking around, the time is better. Strong like that, I'll let the others be fretters. 2 years time, the ball will bring back the gains. That makes it worth the effort, cause here comes the rain. So let's go rainmakers, let's make it all happen. Let go of the hate, let the haters be crapping. I'm here for 5 years, let's do this together. The time is right, the time could be better. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm a rainmaker, making my own start. I'm with the future, learning the past. Makes the time fly by, years going so fast. The game plan is mine, I'll own it now. when I reach the top. Haters asking me how, cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love, and I follow what I learn, not relying on luck. Haters be hating, the time to slow down, addressing what they say when I'm wearing my crown. They're chasing green candles like someone who was new. I got a vision that was bigger, helping me to push through. I'm still human and sometimes it is rough, and that's what makes me special, simply I stay tough. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love, and I follow what I learn, not relying on luck.